a second. This isn't the beginning. We need to start at the beginning. A very good place to start. Hey guys, Chris Railsing Trails here. On this adventure, we're going to Austria and Germany. And we're on a bunch of trains, so you'll get your rails, and then you'll get your trails, because we visited a lot of different sites. Hope you enjoy. Hey guys, this is our plane ride from Philadelphia to Dublin International Airport. Our arrival time there was 5 a.m. So we really didn't get to see anything from the sky, because it was dark, and we're only in the airport for a couple hours. We started our adventure in Munich because we arrived there at 10 o'clock in the morning. And so our first mission that day was to walk to one of the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory's movie locations. Hey guys, we made it to the front gate of the Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory movie location. This is where Willy Wonka was standing there and getting the tickets from the children to enter the chocolate factory. And this is me walking up to the location of the front gate of the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movie, with the famous scene where he's collecting the tickets for all the kids to go into the chocolate factory. I've always wanted to go to this location, and I finally made it here 53 years later. To a scene that I've watched a million times, and I can't believe I was standing there. It's a pivotal part of the movie. This is for those who have seen the movie. If you haven't, you need to see the movie. All original props. This is what Charlie Bucket was looking through at the towers, which are now hidden by a big building. So I was taking it all in at this point, even though there was loud and obnoxious construction workers behind us. He was right here. Willy Wonka was right here. Now that we're here, I couldn't help but recreating one of the scenes. My son is filling in for Charlie Bucket, and he's walking up to the chocolate factory. Up the airy mountain and down the Russian glen, we dare not go hunting for fear of little men. You see, nobody ever goes in, nobody ever comes out. Hey guys, for those who care about the movie Willy Wonka, for those really who saw the movie Willy Wonka, or really remember the scene in Willy Wonka, this was like the pivotal scene of the movie. This is when all the children handed a golden ticket to Willy Wonka, and this is really entered into the factory. So this is the spot where this happened, if you don't know by now. And the big Wonka sign was up here. And everyone was lined up here. Thousands of people lined up here. All the children were sitting on the bleachers. They came one by one, right over here. Opened this gate. Gene Wilder was right here, Willy Wonka. Handed them the ticket, and they went over there. And this is the famous little cubby hole that Charlie was looking through. Someone stole this piece of wood that's here. But this is very, very heavy duty. You cannot move this. But this is the scene. Charlie Bucket's right here. He turns around. The weird man saying that little line, whatever. But this is it. Too bad that they put a building over here, because right behind that building is the clock tower. It's actually getting worked on and fixed right now. But it would have been neat to have you see the clock tower in the scene. Well, goodbye, Willy Wonka. Too bad your chocolate factory wasn't open today. All right, guys, this is the location where Charlie found the golden ticket and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It has changed over the years, but I'll point you in the vicinity. If you look in the movie, you see these drain pipes right here. This, I think, is where the newspaper stand was. And then you'll see him basically run down the street over here. And if you see that white building right there, there's a doorway at the white building over there. You can see that doorway. That's in the scene. Right now, we're trying to find the actual location of this famous movie still. In the movie Willy Wonka, where he actually found the golden ticket, and I think we found the area. It has changed a little bit where they added the curb and put some grass and trees in. These are all random shots of everything that we're walking by on the street in Munich on the day we arrived. At this point, we were up like 35 straight hours. So I was getting pretty tired at this point. It was a 1 hour walk from the hotel to this Willy Wonka location and then 1 hour back. And so we were snapping all these pictures going and coming back. That's a pretty cool car. Lots of neat little shots of side streets. Buildings that look like they're probably pre-World War II. Lots of plaques. I was freezing cold at this point. I was trying to flag down a taxi, but there was nothing and couldn't find any. Pretty neat shot there. This building reminded me of New York City. Most of these buildings, we don't know what they were, but just thought it was unique architecture. More neat little shots on the side of the road. Around 90% of the old part of the city of Munich was severely damaged due to carpet bombing by Allied planes. Munich was considered a special target of Allied bombings also for propaganda purposes, in that it was the movement's capital city, the Nazi Party's birthplace. This looked like brutalism from Soviet Union. Who knows if it was? This is a pretty cool, vibrant green building. Never saw anything like this before. That's me taking a picture of the vibrant green building. Interesting artwork. Another neat shot, probably pre-World War II. Nice clock tower. Neat architecture here. This was the Marienplatz, which is in the center of Munich. This video was taken in the town hall of Munich, right off the Marienplatz. So I think this is pretty cool that they allow people to come into the town hall and film it. Pretty interesting. Then down there on the right is an entrance to a downstairs restaurant, which is very, very, very good and very expensive. This is in the basement of the city hall at the Marienplatz. This is pretty neat. It looks very old, but the guy said it's not old. I was thinking like hundreds of years old. He said, no, it's like in the mid-40s, mid-50s. Pretty nice, pretty colorful shot when the sun came out. Blue skies, before they're gray, now they're blue, later in the day. So it warmed up at this point. This is a before and after of a famous location in Munich. I do not know the name of this structure. My son was having a nice, authentic German beer paired with some bratwurst. Lots of clock towers there. Jeez, this made me hungry. This made me thirsty. And that's it for now from Munich. Guys, we're going to change the mood up a little bit. We're now heading to Dachau concentration camp. And for some strange reason, a lot of people gave me a hard time about this, why I was going to Dachau. It's because it's history, world history. We arrived at the train station. The tour guide told us this was the original train station that the prisoners arrived at, and the actual bus route we took to the camp is where they actually walked. It was like a 7-minute ride. These are the old SS buildings. This is the front door to Dachau. This day was actually the nicest day of all the days there. It was pretty warm and it wasn't rainy. This is a list of all the concentration camps and all the other camps. No smoking. Yep, we're sitting in the middle of the courtyard here. One of the guard towers. map of the camp. Work, make free. Somebody stole that, and they found it, and they brought it back to the camp, and they enclosed it. What we're looking at is the original one. So now it's protected and locked up. That's the firing squad wall. They shot prisoners. This was a long hallway, many rooms. Some of these rooms, they had a cage in there where prisoners would stand. They'd have to stand up for days on end, together in the cage. This was a huge building that we toured, probably in there most of the time. Everything behind these two buildings and these trees to the right and the left were barracks, but they're all knocked down now. So it's just flat land. Middle of the courtyard. At the end of this road, there was other places to go into, monuments and stuff, but we didn't have time. This is where all the barracks were. Now the crematorium. This building was the addition. So this building basically is the gas chamber. And these buildings house the ovens too. Shower room. And this was the gas chamber. I'm surprised that it was actually open and we actually could walk in there. And at one point I was the only person in there. Right from the gas chamber to the ovens in the next room. They would hang some of the prisoners from the rafters in front of these ovens. I wanted to touch history. This was right off to the side of the gas chambers where a lot of people were executed and a lot of people were buried. Pistol range for execution. And the group and the tour guide ran through this area like they were running a marathon. But no, I actually walked through this area and I was the only person there and had to run and catch up to everybody. To the left and to the right were the bodies buried. Now we're leaving at this point. Work, make free. The tour's guide and the group is way ahead of us, waiting at the bus stop at this point. All right, we saw this little group in the middle of the Marienplatz performing music. It sounded like Russian music. Behind me is a babushka lady. It's the famous Marienplatz, this is the town hall building. They sure love their beer in Germany. I thought the Brits drank a lot of beer. No, the Germans probably way more than that. Now, I didn't drink this beer. I was just looking at it. My son drank it. Tram that almost hit us. More random shots of the architecture around Munich. Lots of bikes, but not more than the Dutch. Thought this was a neat shot. Thought this was a funny sign. After a very long day of walking, we finally made it to the very famous Hofbauer House in the heart of Munich. Hey guys, here at the Hofbauer House in Munich, Germany. I'm actually not drinking this beer because beer is disgusting. The cameraman is drinking this beer. and he had that beer, and he had that beer, and he had that beer. But anyway, this is a famous place, 1920. Adolf Hitler came here for a meeting in that window, on the other side of that window. And Mozart used to frequent this place too, because he lived in Munich. Cheers. Wait. Cheers. The drink of champions. In this room in the 20s, Adolf Hitler had one of his famous rallies. It's me, I think I'm me finishing up a pretzel. That's my son's beer. This was great. This girl walking around big gigantic pretzels, and I bought one. $5 for that big pretzel. That's a pretty good price. That was my dinner. This is all the beer bottles that my son drank that night. Live band when we were leaving, pretty loud. The place was totally packed out. That's why we had to sit outside. And this was in the middle of the week. Imagine how it is on a weekend.
Gestorben bin, dann tragt mich hoch hinauf, begrabt ihr mich im Tal herunter, dann steig ich selber rauf und jodle noch aus voller Brust vom Berg ins tiefe Tal.
This is us leaving because it was dark at this time. 1897. Free beer, false advertising. This is us walking home. We stopped at this quaint little bar. But this is us walking home. We felt very safe. That's the one thing that we experienced. Didn't see a lot of graffiti. Didn't see a lot of garbage. Didn't see a lot of riffraff. Everybody was just minding their own business, just walking to where they had to go. There was actually still a lot of people walking these streets at like 10 o'clock at night. During the day, I actually saw a lot of babushka ladies. This is another place that we stopped at to have a drink of water. That's Marienplatz at night. And now the rain. This was pretty clean, this little shopping area. And actually, it seems like there's a lot of stuff to do in Munich, but we were only there like 4 or 5 days, and pretty busy on those days. We had trips planned. Another thing about Munich, and actually Salzburg, everyone obeys the street signals and traffic signals. If it's red, nobody walks across the street, even though there's no cars or trolleys in any direction. Once it turns green, they go. All right, next day, got up bright and early. We're heading to King Ludwig's castle in Bavaria for a nice short train ride. And this is the day it was really cold and really wet. Unfortunately, they do not allow pictures inside this castle. But if I ever go there again, I'm going to take pictures because there's only one tour guide in front of you, and he can't see what you're doing if there's 50 people in front of you. This yellow castle is one of King Ludwig's other castles. His main castle is the big white one. The bridge in the background is where we took the next picture. We're both afraid of heights, so I guess snuck out there about a foot on the bridge, snapped the picture, and ran back. King Ludwig's White Castle is the exterior shots from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang movie. I was at this castle in 1987 when I was stationed in the Netherlands. And I kind of remember back then that we were allowed to take pictures inside the castle. So I guess over the years they've changed that policy. I wish they would have given us more time in there, but we met a random friend on the train ride back, told her we're going to Sound of Music tour the next day, and she started singing.
But firmly they compel us to say goodbye to you.
Singing in the rain. Do 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 do. Singing in the rain. This way to the castle?
Yes, that's the way to the castle.
Thank you. All right, guys, I waited all my life to go to Salzburg since The Sound of Music is my favorite movie. And I guess I got a little emotional when I got there because it reminded me of my mother when I was a little kid, and she used to watch the movie all the time and plop me in front of the TV. Hey, this is Salzburg. Where we are now is not really the commercialized area. That's about a 5-minute walk down this river to get to all the movie scenes, locations from Sound of Music. This is when we were walking to the steps where the famous Do-Re-Mi scene was filmed in Maribel Gardens. And I'd have to say this is probably emotional for me coming up here, thinking I would never get the chance to go here, but I'm there, right there, in the most famous scene in the movie. There was a lot of people, which could have been which was annoying at some times. A lot of people. But there's one shot coming up where, for a brief moment in time, there was no one on the steps. So I ran to the steps, told my son, snap a picture of me sitting on the steps. And as soon as he snapped the picture, 50 million people came from both sides behind me. This is the famous fountain in the movie, where all the kids are running around with Julie Andrews. It was very dirty that day. The next day, it was completely cleaned out. Because we went there at night, near a hotel, and the water was drained. And we stopped there every day to walk around and look. This is the location of the famous scene. This is still Maribel Gardens from a different angle. That's the scene right there where they were dancing under those statues behind me, right there. Thank God it was sunny at this point and not rainy. But I was wearing multiple layers of clothing because it was cold when it did rain. Pretty neat statues that look very old. Nothing filmed in this area in the movie. This is the tour that we took the next day on the bus, which is coming up soon. Salzburg Congress. They sure loved their Mozart in this town, I can say that much. There I am. Love my soda. Love my food. Interior of some random church that was near us. Colorful. Pretzel, which I bought from a street vendor that was stale. That's why it's only a quarter eaten. Different angle of the gardens and the fountain and the steps. This is directly behind the steps. Very rare picture with not a lot of people behind you. This is the location of one of the scenes where they're dancing around one of these statues. It was toward the middle or the end of the Do-Re dance scene, but I don't remember what the statue looked like, and I do not think it was there. So I basically posed as the statue. There I am, top of the world. This is another picture of the fountain from a different angle. Nice not to have a million people in this picture. Constantly tour groups coming around this area. Understandable, because that's the reason why people go to Salzburg, is to do this. So. This is all around the garden area. Schloss Mirabell. This is a good place to sit on a bench and people watch. Ah, here's a shot. No one around. We crossed the bridge to the other side of the river and we decided to get some Mozart chocolate. These are and also in the movie. That's the fountain in the movie that Julie Andrews put her hand in. This Salzburg Christmas store was pretty neat to go in. It was toward the end of the day, so there wasn't a lot of people there. I think it was right near Mozart's house, right on the same street. Unfortunately, we didn't buy anything. Kind of wish we kind of did. We went in this little small building for a drink. Mozart actually lived in this building for, I think, 2 weeks. This is the famous house from The Sound of Music. This is the house that they shot for the external backyard background scenes. Nothing was ever shot in this building. It was just used for the outside and the back. Right now we are walking to the gazebo from The Sound of Music that was moved from the location of the house that we just seen to this location. For those who have seen The Sound of Music, you're I'm sure that this house will be familiar looking to you. It actually has the same color. This was where they shot supposed to be the front of the house. Lots of scenes were filmed here. A couple scenes at the end were filmed here. And this is supposed to represent the house they were in, but they were never actually in this house. They just filmed the external scenes outside. This is the Sound of Music Church, which the wedding scene of Maria and Baron von Trapp was filmed in. It's called the Basilica of St. Michael, located in the tourist town of Mondsee, Austria. What I didn't realize was that this was a sing-along tour featuring the goat song from The Sound of Music.
A prince on the bridge of a castle mountain. Lay, ho, and on a road with a load to the turn. Lay, ho, lay, ho. And in the midst of the town, lay, ho, lay, ho. Drinking beer with a overflow. Lay, ho, lay, ho.
You know how they have those little quartets that walk around.
We arrived at the last stop of the day and the tour guide was explaining our situation.
It goes back to 748. Old history here. Souvenirs. If you're into your souvenirs, there's a shop there. They are open. They've got goats. But they've got Sound of Music stuff, which is hard to find apparently in Salzburg because the local people don't really know anything about it. Folks, down the road to get back to the bus, it's really easy. Go to the corner, turn right, walk along to the Spar supermarket, turn left.
The last thing the tour guide said in the previous video was that most of the people in Salzburg don't know anything about the movie Sound of Music. This cool looking building is the headquarters to Red Bull, the famous sports drink. This is a salt mine in the outskirts of Birch's Garden. And it was pretty awesome. No photography or filming were allowed inside the salt mine. But I accidentally, my camera accidentally was left on at this point. If you look really close at this picture, those are slides in the background. At the end of this tour, we had to take a boat ride to the other side. Look at those awesome lights. I think it's time to go to Hitler's favorite little town, Birch's Garden. On our ride to Birch's Garden from Salzburg, we saw a lot of beautiful mountain ranges and houses, and he said that this is a very expensive area. He says all the rich people live in the outskirts of Salzburg and not in the city. Birch's Garden was a favorite town of Adolf Hitler, which is why he built his eagle's nest right on top of the mountain that you can easily see from Birch's Garden. And a lot of German generals loved it here, came here and lived in this area. Here you can see the eagle's nest perched on top of that mountain. But as you can see in this snowy picture, it was closed until another month because it's icy up there. And we had no idea. We assumed that we could have went this day, so that's going to be on my bucket list next time I get out there. This is the grave of Dietrich Eckart, who was a political activist who was one of the founders of the German Workers' Party, the precursor of the Nazi Party. Eckart was a key influence on Adolf Hitler in the early years of the party. He was acknowledged by Hitler to be the spiritual co-founder of Nazism and a guiding light of the early National Socialist movement. He passed away around 1924. Without Dietrich, there would have been no Adolf Hitler. Look at the canny resemblance of Dietrich. He kind of looks like someone that we were talking about right now. We were exploring around the cemetery here, and we saw this cat. Pretty neat cat, and pretty friendly too. I named him Gunner. I think this cat could tell a lot of stories because in cat years, he's probably on 117 years old. Here's a few shots of downtown Birch's Garden. It's not a big place. I wish you would have had more time, but we only had like an hour here before the bus left. So we actually rushed and walked very fast to take these pictures and to get all these locations. Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching my video. That is if you stay to the end. This was definitely one of the highlights of my traveling adventures, going to Austria to check out the Sound of Music sites. Until then, climb every mountain until you find your dream.